What's up, YouTube? JD Horror here. So, it's no secret that I love horror, but another one of my favorite genres is sci-fi, specifically time travel. I got the idea for this story because of my love of both zombie and time travel novels, and in all my years of reading books, listening to creepypasta stories, and watching damn near every horror or time travel movie ever made, I've never seen, heard, or read a combination of both. So here is what I'm assuming can't be the first ever matchup of my two favorite subjects, but I had a lot of fun writing and narrating this story, so I really hope you enjoy. My name is Dr. Jake Cameron. Today's date is December 20th, 2022, and I'm the one responsible for the end of the human race. I'm a scientist, well, I was anyway, for some of the world's most highest-ranking officials. I completed high school when I was 11. University, I graduated at the top of my class with honors and a master's in quantum mechanics, and I was only 17 years old. I was recruited by the government 2 days after my 18th birthday. They had been watching my every move since I was 10 from what I understand. I had the opportunity to say no and live a normal life. Well, I guess ultimately I did get that normal life, but sometimes I regret my decision. But for someone like me at that time, a normal life just wouldn't cut it. I always wanted more of everything, more knowledge, more data. I couldn't get enough. And all that led me to where I am today, the exact day I brought upon the apocalypse. In 2004, I started work in a lab at the CDC, like the very bottom of the CDC. I'm talking a sub-level that borders hell. Of course, you've never heard of this one. No one has for that matter. No one who's ever worked here was allowed to have any sort of life outside. You see, we got hired because of a certain type of skill set, an intellectual skill set. We were the brilliant minds who know everything about everything. Because of that, when you do get recruited and learn all the secrets about that place, you never leave. No one can be trusted leaving with secrets like the ones buried deep in that lab. No one. So you must cut ties with everyone and anyone you've ever known or loved. One day you just drop off the map and no one ever hears from you again. You live there, you work there, and you die there. I am the father of time travel. But at the same time, the scientist that somehow unleashed a fucking zombie virus ending the world. It feels so weird using that word, zombie. What the fuck? That's really the only way to describe it. That's what they are. They're violent, flesh-hungry, brain-eating, fucking zombies. Okay, I guess I should explain. Since 2009, the vast majority of the facility had been inventing and testing bioweapons, experimental rocket engineering, space travel, and my personal specialty, quantum mechanics. Time travel to be exact. I discovered the ability and power necessary for, and even after all these years it doesn't sound real to me, but time travel. I built a time machine. It's no bigger than a tablet. Well, in a sense it's just that, a tablet. It's got a strap on the back so it sits flat in your palm with a 9-inch tempered glass screen connected on both sides to silver tubes. If you could see through them, they would look almost like an early version of the light bulb. Glass wouldn't give me the ground I needed, but it would have looked cool as hell. In all honesty, I used to dream of one day using it to get the hell out of there. Get myself a DeLorean, wire the tablet in so it's grounded through the car. Maybe even install a flux capacitor just for show and literally travel any place and time on Earth. Marty McFly style. After a ton of trial and error, I figured it was finally time to test out the machine on myself. My calculations dictated that I could choose any time, any location I want, and that's exactly where I'd end up. I'd get into more detail about the maths of it all, but I don't want to bore anybody to death, and I don't think anyone would understand anyway. I really only tried it on Fruit and a few lab rats, one of which never came back, but the footage showed he just chewed through his restraints and took off. That rat very well could be his own great-great-grandfather. Sorry, I'm getting off track. Anyway, just for fun, I chose my favorite vacation spot as a kid, Banff, Alberta. The date, I had to choose my birthday, June 3rd, because I guess I never really celebrated my birthday. And the year, 2025. From the time I left, that date was approximately 2.5 years into the future. That way, if something did go wrong, I could always just make my way back to base. I needed somewhere out of the way where I wouldn't be seen, so I picked a nice quiet spot by the Bow River that I remember skipping rocks at when I was 5. I programmed the details into the tablet, and although I was nervous as hell, with one touch, jump. It's a weird feeling traveling through time. It's like a more intense yet calming version of pins and needles, combined with growing pains, and it leaves you feeling really dizzy. Before I knew it, I was smelling fresh air. The surrounding mountains were so beautiful, but they were dancing in my vision. The ground beneath my feet felt like it was falling away. I focused on the sounds of nature. It was everything I needed to shake off the daze. Taking it all in, I casually started walking toward town. I could see a few people walking in the distance, more like shuffling or stumbling. It gave me a really eerie feeling. That's when I started to smell the smoke and a sickening rot odor that felt like a smack in the face. The shock hit me all at once when the screeching started. What I initially thought were a few people simply walking down the street had seen me and started sprinting full force at me, screaming so loud it could make your ears bleed. Then more people poured into the street, joining the ear-piercing symphony of death. I turned and ran as fast as I could, all while trying to enter my next destination. Looking at the screen, I wasn't watching where I was going and tripped over what I now assume was a body. Dazed for the second time in 3 minutes, I turned around to see the stampede of people closing the gap. I tried to focus my eyes on the screen but couldn't. One of those bloody monsters landed on top of me. I panicked and I just hit jump. Suddenly it was nighttime and I was falling, and this fucker's still on top of me. I hit the ground hard, and using my momentum I threw my attacker off me just as I landed with a loud thud. Winded and yet again dazed, I stumbled to my feet, grabbed the tablet, and ran as fast as my dizzy head would allow. It felt like hours, but it was probably only a few minutes. I didn't have the best cardio. I sat at a desk most of the time. I stopped to catch my breath, heart pounding out of my chest, and I frantically looked around to get my bearings. I was alone, and that thing was gone. I dropped to the cool grass, looking up at the stars, breathing heavily. In the distance, I heard a loud screech. Then what sounded like a woman screaming, then a man's voice yelling. I just wanted to leave, get the hell out of that whole horrible nightmare. I felt around for my tablet, picking it up and squinting to finally see where and when the hell I was. But the time, date, location, everything was just blinking all zeros. It must have hit the ground hard and reset itself. The screeching echoed through the trees around me, louder now, then all of a sudden came to an abrupt halt. The silence was both tranquil and nerve-wracking. I set the time, date, location, back in my lab a few minutes after I left. Without hesitation, jump. I opened my eyes and I was back in my lab. The airlock breach alarm was sounding, which is deeply concerning. Looking around, I saw no one. Hoping to find something to get some sort of explanation of what was happening, I immediately headed to my office. The place was a mess, blood and files everywhere, desk overturned, computers destroyed, not a soul in sight. I slowly made my way through the facility, and everywhere I went looked worse and worse. Windows to labs smashed, machinery going crazy, alarms flashing literally everywhere. Just a total shit show. I decided to make my way to the elevator airlock, and it too was breached. Well, that's not good. I went to enter my code so I could use the elevator, but someone had ripped the panel off the wall and activated the manual override. Okay, this is really bad. I began searching random levels, finding a lot of the same or nothing at all. The facility was a complete ghost town. Blood painted the walls, and that same disgusting odor lingering that I can only describe as rotting meat left out in the sun for weeks that a bunch of animals decided to pee and defecate on. More troubling though was the body parts. Body parts everywhere. Well, I guess mostly skeletal remains. They just littered some of the floors. Limbs torn from their former owners, devoured to the bone. When I first saw it, I couldn't hold it. I puked my lungs out. The stench alone, oh. Even thinking about it now, just putrid. Ugh. Anyway, I made my way back to the elevator. I had to see ground level. Normally busy with people, lots of chatter, occasional laughter, anecdotes about lab rats, and more importantly, security. Guards stationed literally everywhere. Checkpoints going in and out of every door. The works. I'm sure people who work at Area 51 would know the type of security I'm talking about. When the doors fully opened with an electronic voice saying, "Main lobby," I was welcomed by that familiar screeching, and what I saw was pure carnage, and a large group of people now resembling the set of The Walking Dead on crack. blood dripping from everywhere, freshly ripped flesh dangling from their gnashing mouths, eyes as black as coal. My mind was trying to refuse what I was seeing. You know, I've always been a huge fan of horror movies, zombie movies especially, and I know what some of you are thinking. Oh, it'd be so cool if a zombie apocalypse actually happened. It's really not. I thought the same thing. You never think something like this will ever happen for you. Not like it does in the movies, and when it actually does, when you see the vicious cannibalism with your own eyes, people you know now only slightly resembling the people they once were, you want it to feel different, more visceral, more real. I was waiting for it to hit me, but it just wouldn't happen. Seriously? Fucking zombies? I thought out loud. Big mistake. The sounds of a non-infected voice got the attention of my former friends and colleagues. The second these people, these goddamn monsters, saw me, they started sprinting towards the elevator. I hit the floor number for my lab and repeatedly hammered on the closed door button, as if that ever makes it go faster. I closed my eyes and prayed to anything out there willing to hear me that they wouldn't reach the elevator doors before they closed. At the last second, I opened my eyes just in time to see the broken, chomping teeth of my closest friend, Dr. Joseph Reed, barreling into the exterior doors as they closed. The elevator rapidly came to life and I began my descent back to my lab. It was all just so overwhelming, I fell to my knees and just started crying. I knew exactly what caused it. It was me. And I knew I had to fix it. I was the only one in the position to fix it. Okay, think. I brought that thing back from Bay of 2025, but where did it come from initially? If it was happening in 2025, then it had to have happened between now and then. Well, the original now and then. But it's happening now, so it must have started in the past, but where and how and when the hell did I take it? That's when it hit me and I literally facepalmed. I created a paradox, on my first jump no less. I was in an alternate version of 2022. Fucking amateur, did Back to the Future teach you anything? If I brought it to the past from the future, then that must be how it all started, creating the timeline I'm in now. But it wasn't happening in the timeline I left from, so how could it be happening in that timeline as 2025? Unless the fact that I traveled through time bringing it back with me changed that timeline to the one I'm in now. But if that's the catalyst, then I never would have made that first jump and none of this would be happening. So you see the predicament I put myself in. I considered what I thought was every scenario about messing with time and space, but who the hell could have seen something like that coming? So I needed to collect data. When the doors opened, I immediately ran to the control room. As I entered, my brain was running full tilt and I didn't even notice the stench. Shocked, I saw the 2 guards hadn't left their post. Oh, thank God, someone survived. Look, I'm taking over your system. Security access code 6386. What the hell happened here? Is anyone else still alive? Just then, the 2 guards turned to face me and, what do you know, they started screeching. I may or may not have peed a little, I was so startled. But in all honesty, I wasn't expecting a fucking jump scare. I mean, given the situation, that's exactly what I should have been expecting. Dark red blood was oozing from their eyes, nose, and mouth. Their skin, well, what was left of it anyway, was gray, almost green. Their clothes ripped and torn, one with his pants around his damn ankles. Their bodies were withered away, large patches of muscle and flesh just non-existent. Those fuckers had been chilling there for who knows how long, just munching on each other. Then snapping back to the task at hand, I looked around and grabbed the first weapon I could find, a fire extinguisher attached to the wall next to me. That'll do, pig. Just as the first guard came crawling toward me, I had the extinguisher off the wall and swung it like a baseball bat. I bashed in the side of his head as hard as I could manage. His skull cracked like a watermelon, spraying black and red brain matter everywhere. This immediately sent his body to the ground with a hard, wet smack. Typical. Always gotta get him in the head. The second guard, Pantsless Fred I decided to call him, was attempting to scramble to his feet to get at the all-you-can-eat buffet standing right in front of him. I wasn't sure exactly how long those men had been trapped inside that control room, but it was obvious that his muscle tissue had atrophied. Large portions of his leg muscles so chewed away it was exposing bone. Because of this, and his obvious tripping hazard around his ankles, he fell face first. He looked up at me, staring straight into my eyes, and I swear I saw some recognition, almost like the man he used to be was begging me to end his suffering. I stepped around him with the same gusto of my first swing. I brought down the fire extinguisher and damn near flattened his head on the hard concrete floor. Oh shit. What the actual fuck is happening? This isn't a fucking game or movie or TV show. This is fucking real, man. Fucking zombies. Holy shit. I took a minute to pay my respects, then liberated both men of their guns and ammo, dragged their bodies just outside the control room door. I slammed it shut and locked it from the inside. I sat down, closed my eyes, took a long, deep breath, and just took it all in. And I just killed my first 2 zombies, great. What the fuck did you do, Jake? Seriously? I slowly let the breath out, sat up straight, and then I began my search. I initially searched through local news channels, I guess hoping it wasn't global or maybe the military got on top of it before it got too bad. Given the state of the CDC, I wasn't about to put money on it. And sure enough, nothing but static, the odd pre-recorded standby message from random stations that managed to still have power. And funny enough, one channel that was actually playing old-ass infomercials on a loop, and my heart sank. I had one computer going through radio and satellite signals, trying to find any transmission being broadcast from anywhere in or out of the world. Another running a diagnostic scan on the time machine to figure out when and where the hell I took the fucking thing and fix any glitches that may have occurred when we both hit the ground. Then I hacked into a database that would grant me access to any and all CCTV footage globally. Only a handful of people know how to get onto that server, and I taught most of them how. Surfing through all the footage, either live or recorded, there was nothing, the world was gone. Literal zombie hordes roaming around everywhere, buildings on fire, bridges collapsed, entire cities reduced to ash and rubble, nuclear power plants on the brink of meltdowns. It was all gone. I single-handedly destroyed civilization as we know it and brought humanity to a screeching halt. Having had enough of watching the new hit reality TV show that I nicknamed Keeping Up with the Zombie Fucking Apocalypse, I went through hours of data trying to pinpoint exactly when and where the hell this all started. Then I found something. Mid-February 2020. And as if on cue, the diagnostic scan finished. Perfect timing. I jumped back to February 14th, 2020, 11:37 p.m., Central Park, New York City. Ah, shit. New York, February 14th? Happy fucking Valentine's Day, Jake. I kept reading, and the first recorded case was February 15th, 1:43 a.m. A woman was rushed to the emergency room having violent seizures. Her husband stated that a man had attacked her while she was out for a late-night jog in Central Park. He attempted to bite her forearm, and when she was trying to fight him off, someone tackled the assailant to the ground. With only minor scratches, she ran home, but shortly after she began complaining of a headache. Then her temperature increased, then she began vomiting, and then she began seizing. 30 minutes after she was admitted to the hospital, she became violent and attacked multiple nurses, infecting a few immediately who then infected more hospital staff. Some people evacuated the hospital trying to avoid the slaughterhouse. Bad idea. It spread like wildfire after that, and no one saw it coming. The army tried to quarantine New York City, but they got overrun. Eventually, the whole damn state was infected. Over the next few months, it was everywhere. They didn't shut down the borders or ground the flights soon enough. Before anyone knew it, it was out of control. A global pandemic. For obvious reasons, densely populated cities were hit the worst. The CDC started working on a vaccine, but didn't get very far. As of the post I was reading, August 14th, 2021, the CDC had been radio silenced for nearly 5 weeks. Well, that kind of explains what happened here. I pulled up the CDC database. Apparently the virus either spreads through the body instantly or lays dormant for up to 72 hours. It all just depends on the blood type. But no one is immune. One bite, one scratch, or any bodily fluids exchanged, it's a death sentence. I had the time, date, location, and I knew exactly what I had to do. Go back early and wait for the other me to ninja roll the zombie off him. Let him get a head start, kill the fucking thing, then jump back without getting infected myself. Easy, right? Nope. I got myself ready for my next jump. I was loaded up with the security officer's guns, a broom handle that I had sharpened into a spike, and a big old chef knife that I scored from the cafeteria looking for food. I borrowed Pantsless Fred's Kevlar vest. The thing stank to high hell. Ugh, 2 years of human rot and decay will seep into anything, I guess. I wrapped my arms tight with torn lab coats, finished off with elbow-length gloves. I had to cut the fingertips off so I was actually able to handle and shoot the firearms. I grabbed a pair of lead-lined radiation coveralls. I contemplated a full hazmat suit, but it would have drawn way more attention than I needed. I settled for a surgical mask and safety glasses. I put some regular clothes on over top so I could blend in at least a little, and I was ready to go. I set the time, date, location. Well, here we go. Jump. The trees were spinning around me and the ground felt like it was vibrating. Adjusting my eyes, I got my bearings and found the spot I jumped to. Well, I thought I did anyway. The set of trees looked the exact same. My adrenaline was pumping. It was go time. I looked at the current time, 1 minute to go, and it was the longest minute of my life. The time came and nothing. Okay. I should be here by now. Oh, what the fuck is taking so long? I checked the time and date again, and it was a perfect match, except 32 seconds had ticked by.
Ugh, my calculations are never off. This has to be something else.
Then I heard it, a kind of zap. I could almost feel the sound. It felt like it was coming from all different directions. I went completely still and listened. A few seconds later, I heard a commotion roughly 100 meters away.
Fuck! No, wrong set of trees!
I sprinted towards the sound. I was so close. Then I heard a woman scream.
Motherfucker!
I yelled as I tackled the bastard to the ground.
Boom, baby! Guess who's back? Round 2, bitch!
I roared as the big, ugly, undead prick screeched in my face. I pinned his arms down with my knees. Then, using the broom handle to hold his neck and wrist down, I wrapped my hand around the handle of the kitchen knife. I plunged it into his temple. The man struggled, still gnashing his teeth. His screeching became louder, so I twisted the knife deeper into his skull until he stopped struggling. Then off in the distance, I heard it and felt it.
Zap. See you later, Jake.
I spun around to find that I was alone. The silhouette of a woman disappearing between the trees at a full sprint. I killed the fucking thing, and the woman that was being attacked got away unharmed. Well, I thought she did anyway. I thought it was over. I set the tablet and hit jump, and I was back in my time. In the control room I had left only 1 minute ago. Unfortunately, it was the exact same as when I left, which means I obviously failed. But how? Shit. The dizziness is getting worse. My body and brain breaking down, transmitting and rematerializing in a new time and place. It must be having an effect. Like making a copy of a copy of a copy. I reached for the wall, a chair, anything to hold on to. Instead, I hit the floor and I was out cold. When I came to, I sat up and puked all over myself. I got my shit together and returned to the computers. Nothing had changed. I fucked up, but the woman wasn't patient zero anymore. It started the same day, but it was different. Mosquitoes were apparently the catalyst this time. Blood drank from the corpse of the original zombie spread to a man who was hospitalized, and within a few hours his temperature rose to dangerous levels. He began convulsing and then attacking hospital staff, and yet again, it spread like wildfire. I went back to get rid of the corpse, but that time, blood left on the grass was ingested by a squirrel who then spread it to the other squirrels. Fucking packs of violent, rabid rodents spread it to humans. Next, I tried going forward in time, back to Banff 2025 to warn myself about what had happened. I waited at my rock skipping spot only for the other meat to no-show, and I almost got bit by a Z that snuck up on me. No screeching, which was weird. Potentially something I did during my previous jumps caused this new variant of the virus. I eventually lost track of how many times I jumped through time, and each time it was making me worse. I didn't know how many more jumps I had left in me, so I was done trying to save the realities that I created over and over. I kept fucking up. No matter what I tried, it always just happened anyway. So I made a decision. I had to kill myself, but not like that me, but past me, baby Jake. Or at the very least, prevent him from being born at all. Given the way things had been going, I knew I wouldn't just disappear because that me already existed, so I went back to early 1986. I knew before hitting jump that it was my last, if I even survived that one. Obviously I did, or I wouldn't be telling my story. Tracking down my parents was fairly easy, but getting close enough to my mother to inject her with a serum to force a miscarriage? Now that was hard. Not only physically, but emotionally. Probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. From that day on, I tried to live a normal life, the kind of life I always dreamed of having. I got myself a cushy job as a developer at IBM, invested in stocks that I knew would hit big, and was actually able to buy myself that DeLorean, fresh off the lot. In 1988, I married a beautiful woman. We had 3 amazingly smart kids. By the early 2000s, I had made my way to the top of the IBM ladder, and funny enough, I was the actual person who had developed the first touchscreen computer, in a sense. I dropped hints to one of our new developers, Robbie, and let him relish in the success of what I knew would eventually be in the pockets of damn near every person on Earth. My life was never perfect, but I'm happy with how it turned out. My kids are grown now with families of their own. A few years ago, my wife passed, so it's just me now. Even though I was technically born in 1986, here I sit at 72 years old in 2022, on the exact date I single-handedly ended the world. The story sounds so unbelievable, I know, but everything I've been saying is 100% true. The thought of how many timelines I destroyed by inventing time travel has been weighing heavy on me for 36 years now. The thing is, today I got a package from Western Union. They've had it in their possession for the last 136 years with instructions to deliver it to this address on this exact date. I rolled my eyes when I saw the handwriting on the package was my own, and was dated December 20th, 1886. The Back to the Future trilogy was always my favorite, both times I lived through the 90s. Although, I didn't think I would have actually stolen a piece right out of the movie. The note read, "Dear Dr. Cameron, I assume you already know where and from whom this letter is coming. I know this because 8 months ago I was sitting in that exact computer chair, reading these exact words. I know you believe that your jumping days are over, but I found a way around the dematerialization. The only issue is you can only go backward through time. There's no going back to the future." Winky face. Such a corny son of a bitch I am. Or will be anyway. Any jump forward will likely kill you before you can shake off the dizziness. But it's not all that bad. The 70s and 60s are a blast, so don't miss it. You know the date I'm writing from, however, this is my last night in 1886. I'm off to witness the start of the Industrial Revolution. I've always wanted to see life before technology, but you already know that. Anyways, to continue the paradox, enclosed are a few locations that I've buried some gold and silver, and the schematics you need to modify the tablet, so go get to work. It's been a wild ride. Tell the kids how much I love them. Dr. Jacob Cameron. So, I guess this is where I'll leave it. I've got some work to do and then it's off to the 70s. My name is James Camden. Well, formerly Dr. Jake Cameron. Signing off. JD again. If you made it this far in the video, I want to thank you and I really hope you enjoyed. And as always, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up. And if you really liked it, hit that subscribe button for more original creepy content just like this. Ciao for now.